let's open our discussion with a question from an expert. Lacey, you're a graphic designer by trade.
Hello.
You do marketing. What you're very good at is sort of this
beauty.
Let me just say what it is. And what images signal to people and what things signal to people.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're looking at the poster for Heart and Souls. And we have Robert Downey Jr. in the foreground. He's the only man. And then in the sky, we have the four angels.
Yes.
Okay. What does this communicate to you?
It communicates to me that these four past loved ones of this man's life are beckoning him home to heaven.
Oh, okay.
What does it communicate to you?
But just in terms of what they're selling a movie to you as, they're selling you exactly what this
feels a little Christian. Why don't you tell me what you want me to say and then I'll say it.
Okay. I'd say this is what the movie is. Yeah. You got your live human being and then you got your dead people in the sky and he's going to be helping them and they're going to be helping him. However, once the movie starts and we get the opening credits, it's Robert Downey Jr., Charles Grodin, Heart and Souls. And that kind of credit billing makes you think this is a two-hander. This is about two guys, Robert Downey Jr. and Charles Grodin.
But you put a lot of weight into credits and in terms of what you're going to see on the screen versus how good are these people's agents.
And I know that that's what it actually comes down to, but they do signal to you something especially when you just have the two actors. If you look at the poster, you see all the names above at the top of the poster.
You're allowing it to signal that to you.
But then in the movie. And so I was like, oh, okay. If Charles Grodin is like the co-lead of this movie, I'm sitting up straighter. I love that. I'd love to see these two guys just hanging out together. And as the movie's going, I'm like, okay, maybe the other angels will get called back to heaven and it'll just be Charles Grodin and Robert Downey Jr. for most of the movie.
Do you think a lot of people struggle with this specific issue that you have? Because it is completely unburdening to people who don't give that much thought to what's in the credits.
I mean, define a lot. Because I'm sure it does some people.
It's weird. You're completely anticipating the entire movie based on the name order.
I know there are people out there who think about this stuff like I do.
Yeah, but why do it? Why not just watch the movie like this? You say you don't like spoilers. You say you don't need to see or know a lot about a movie before watching it. Then why?
Credits are part of a movie. Credits are part of a movie. Oh my
God. Yeah, but the art of them is, yes. And then the name order in credits are contractual. It's not art.
It's
not art.
It can be used as part of art, but it knows that we know what these things mean.
No. In graphic design, every little piece of content that has to make it onto the page is a piece of the puzzle. It's not about that piece. You just have to find it at home in the proper order of its hierarchy. Sure. So when you see it first, that signals to you that that's the most important person. Fine. But it's not part of the art. It's just where that thing had to go.
We're going to get into this fucking argument again. Is this part of the art?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're saying credits are part of the movie. Yes. But the credits are supposed to be artful. They're not supposed to be like, oh, I can predict this will happen.
What does art mean?
That?
Because everything that happens on screen signals to you something and triggers some sort of anticipation in you.
And I'm saying you shouldn't watch credits because I think it maybe messes up your anticipation of things or spoils that someone's going to come back from the dead or come back into the movie in an important way the way it did in GoldenEye.
I'd like to hear from an actual movie director about this, what
do they have to do with anything?
I'd like to hear what they have to say about this, about what do they feel like the contractual obligation of putting a prominent actor high in the credits might signal to the audience that this character is like, well, I thought that guy was dead, or, well, that guy didn't seem important, but, oh, he must be the murderer. I'd like to hear from a filmmaker about that. Bait and switch is all I'm saying. Now, the movie keeps going, and Lacey said out loud, this score is a little too good for this movie. Too spooky.
Right. It seemed to really be playing on the fact that there's ghosts when I only think of them as souls. There's something a little bit more wholesome about how I perceive the dead people in this movie. Like I mentioned before, this might be the only time I can think of dead people in a movie that are the major part of the movie, but they're not scary and nothing scary happens. So yeah, the eerie music of like, these people are dead, or like maybe it's more like, hey, tragedy is about to strike all these people, and this boy is going to be troubled for the rest of his fucking life because this is how God lets people finish their business.
The God of this movie is fucked up.
He's fucked up. And unorganized.
Yeah, but I bet God really is. But it's got the Beetlejuice thing of like
It does.
it wants to it's gonna make you have to confront something devastating, which is like a mom is never gonna get to see her young children again because she's dead. But the movie's like, nope, don't worry about that. We're having fun
think we
here.
Were. That's what the music was doing. It was making me feel three things at once, and it seemed like, okay, you know what this movie is, but I guess because people are dead and it's got to be impactful. We have to do sad stuff, but we don't want you to feel sad too long. It's a little jolting. Mm-hmm. What's your point?
This movie, in terms of tone, is messy and would be better if it just
it's beautiful.
Picked a lane.
No, it's beautiful.
And it's just trying to service so many different people and storylines, and
Me.
much of the way it resolves many of the storylines is like, well, I don't know. It turns out that this is all she needed to resolve her storyline and go to heaven, but we'll get into that. So we open in old San Francisco. This is the old times, and it looks like a commercial that would play during the commercial breaks of Mad Men to make people on their DVRs like stop. Oh, the show's back. Oh no, this is a commercial for soap. You fuckers. So the first people we meet are a pregnant couple, but we don't know who these people are. They're not notable actors, so fuck them. But we'll go and we're going to meet the four people who become our future ghosts. And I want Lacey to take us through each of them and tell us what their deal is. First up,
Harrison. For some reason, when he cries that name, it hurts the most. But anyway, so we've got a talented singing man who is horribly crippled by his fear of probably rejection, but mostly seems stage fright because he was singing beautifully in the lobby. You see him. He's auditioning for some sort of orchestra. I don't know if it's some sort of philharmonic, some sort of San Fran harmonic.
I'm here for the Philharmonic. This is Charles Grodin.
Oh, right.
A few years after Midnight Run. I should have noted where he is in his career.
I wish you'd do your job. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had auditioned the year before, and he again did not pull off he can't bring himself to sing in his beautiful voice and truly audition for this thing he wants very badly. Next.
I don't think he did audition last time.
Yes,
I think he got sick. Uh-huh.
But he was still on the paperwork. He probably got sick on the way of this.
So he, in the past, went up onto the stage and sang for people?
No, he went on the stage, got sick, turned around. Duh. Okay, now we've got Penny. And this is a hardworking mom who's got the night shift on a switchboard. She's busy. She's got 3 boys. We don't see a dad in the picture, but she's delightful and wonderful and clearly doesn't have a ton of money. She puts all of her kids in one bed and the neighbor next door keeps an eye on them. And her kids are like, why can't you stay? And she sings a beautiful song she made up.
Hug-a-bug.
I know.
You know. Not everybody listening might know.
It's coming up later, Matt. Anyway.
Penny is played by Alfre Woodard. They live next door to a cat woman who has lots of cats, and she refers to the young boy child as her lover boy. Put that in your back pocket. You're going to need to know it later.
Will you? Yeah, it's just sweet. She's a caring mom, loves her children. She's got to go to work now. Then we've got Julia, who works at a bar. She's living her dream of living in the city. Her very needy boyfriend, who's been, maybe not needy, I don't know. He's been waiting 5 months to find out if she'll marry him. They live in a small town that's like 2 hours away from here. And she wasn't ready to settle down. She does care about him, but he very awkwardly yells at her across the bar she works at to be like, I need to know now. And she's not ready. So she's like, no, I'm still not ready to get married. I'm still living this city life. Then goes back into the Purple Onion, the bar, for 5 seconds and says, wait a minute, I changed my mind. So Julia goes chasing after him, but has to get on a bus because she doesn't see him.
Everything that you see between her and her ex-boyfriend makes it seem predatory and like she's not that into him. And that she's like trying to run away from him. All of this seems a little like, he's like, I did it, baby. I bought us a piece of property. And she's like, that's good for you. I'm going to go back to work now. I'm going to go watch Bob Newhart do a set.
Okay.
And this is Bob Newhart's son playing Bob Newhart.
Oh, that's fun.
Because he's doing one of his one-sided phone call routines. And it makes it seem like this is like a guy who's stalking her she can't get away from, but then it instantly turns into, no, he's the love of my life. I love him.
can tell she cares about him. She just she's annoyed because like she said she's going to go do her thing in the city for a while and he's going to wait, and he didn't wait. I mean, 5 months is a long time, but he got sassy and left. He's just being a little controlling, but for that time, also very evolved.
All right.
I mean, a man waiting 5 months for a woman who went to the city for 5 months to do God knows what. Then he marries her.
Life question for you, Lacey. Serious answer. If somebody actually in a romantic relationship says, we need to take a break or I need you to wait and I'm going to go do something.
They're not that into you.
Do you think that ever works out?
No.
Okay. Yeah, me neither. But I'm sure someone will say, no, it does.
All right, now we meet Milo, but you know he's
Tom Sizemore.
also known as Milo in this movie. And he's tough. He's this guy of the group. He keeps it jazzy. I don't know. But you know right away that he's not a bad guy. He just has stolen. He does things that aren't great, but he's got a good heart. He is trying to get back some stamps that he stole from a kid because it was important to them. He couldn't get them back. He seems really upset that he couldn't get them back to the kid. And then he goes and gets a bus. They all go and get the same bus, you see.
Tom Sizemore, who is a great actor and just died last year, is like a dinner theater performer in this movie. He's like, hey, I'm just a fucking palooka thief. I got my stamps. I'm going to give them back to you.
Tell me a great performance from like a movie where he
Saving Private Ryan.
Where he gets to really be.
Strange Days, Blue Steel.
I've seen Saving Private Ryan, but it's been a long time.
So we've met our 4 people who are going to die. And they get onto a bus driven by David Paymer as Hal, the bus driver. He's very funny. And it's like this trolley bus. This is San Francisco, and they're going on a San Francisco hill on this trolley bus, and it's only these 4 on the bus. And the bus driver, well, the 4 passengers and the driver. And the pregnant couple we met earlier are now rushing to the hospital because she's going into labor, as only happens in movies. Mm-hmm. The baby's coming now. But this bus driver looks over to the side of the bus and he sees a sexy couple fingering each other in the car. And he's like, hello. And
they cannot get that dress up. He struggles for a long time trying to.
He really does.
He's just moving around and she's just moving around.
Yeah, this is PG-13. They like rewind a couple times.
Pre-fingering. Yeah. It's a squirrely lady in there swirling around.
Yeah. It's like when you turn the bathtub on, you turn the hot water on, let it run for a while. Let it heat up. But the way this movie is cutting to the pregnant couple rushing to the hospital. And so you're like, wait, that's who he's looking at? Is the pregnant couple?
What?
I'm saying in cinematic language, it's cutting from David Paymer looking down like, oh yeah, I'm horny, to the couple in the car.
But you can see he's looking at the thing that's making him horny.
You have also seen the thing that's looking horny, but it cuts more frequently to the pregnant couple.
No, what it signals in cinematic language is that he's going to hit that car and kill that mom.
It does that too.
That's all it's doing.
It does both. It's a big horny death mixture. He sees them. Oh God! He swerves out of the way, and then the bus just spins off of a hill, lands. It's like pretty straightforward and upsetting. In how like, yep, that's how it takes. Your bus got to turn too sharp, and now everyone's dead. But are they dead? They climb off the top of the bus, and they're like, I don't have a scratch on me. And then David Paymer comes out of the bus and he ascends to heaven. So they're like, wait a minute, are we dead? And then they get sucked into the car where the pregnant couple is delivering the baby.
Has delivered.
Like, look, we've successfully delivered the baby. It's a boy. And then, like you said, yeah, it does kind of look like they get
sucked into his brain. I was like, is this in and out? Or not in and out? Yeah, in and out. For the anger, disgust.
Inside out.
Inside out. That's in and out is with Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Inside out.
So I was like, I didn't know what this movie was, but I'm thinking like, okay, so this is trying to be like a, maybe not a Frank Capra movie, but just, this could be a 1940s movie. Jimmy Stewart's in it. It's kind of romantic, kind of funny, kind of serious, and just kind of magical. So that's
okay.
We'll see if they're able to do that. The spirits are like, are we in heaven? And Milo's like, we can't be. It's a 58 Rambler. But then we
Milo
cut forward. And now the kid's like a year old or something. And we see these 4 people have accepted their fate. They just have to hang around this baby forever. And it's nice because you're like, okay, so we don't have to see them like dealing presumably for 6 months with the devastation and depression of being dead and not being able to see the people they love.
Right.
Now they're just happy. They're like, oh, and yes.
They've fallen in love with this little baby that they can't get more than 20 feet away, it seems. About 20.
Yeah, if
25.
If the baby moves away and they don't move with him, they will just get sucked along with him.
Right. Which it does beg. It's interesting the parts that they are implying they did not see, or that they do. There's some sort of compartmentalizing happening, because if you're seeing every minute of someone's fucking life, like, I guess they're doing their own thing. So if he's a little kid gotta go shit, they just go talk in the hall. They seem like to be very respectful of his privacy.
I think that they deliberately show you later in the movie when the kid goes to the bathroom at school, they're in the bathroom, but he's in the stall by himself. So they're showing these ghosts are respectful. They're going to wait outside for him. They're not going to go with him in there and look at his butthole.
Okay.
Or like give him tips.
Those are the options. All right.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm thinking more like when he's an adult, like, what are we doing now?
I too was wondering about
discovered. I'm glad they skipped teenage years. I'm just saying, disgusting.
Is this a case in this world? Does everybody who dies, who has to stay on Earth until they fulfill their business, do they get to like imprint on one human? Or is this just such a coincidence that never before have people died nearby a baby being birthed?
I wonder that myself. Like, does everyone who's talking to themselves, or I of course brought up my big bag of autism and sprinkled it onto this. Oh, our baby's laughing at the wall again. Oh, our baby's talking to himself again. Well, no, that is what children with autism do. They are rehearsing. They are having a script. They're going through their day. It looks like they're talking to themselves, but no, they're just looking at something and speaking out loud. So it's like, so is everybody that people think are, and they kind of allude to it later in the movie, like this lady, is it another lady like in a mental ward area? I was just like, oh, hi. Like, so it does make you think that certainly isn't the first time it's happened,
Mm-hmm.
but is it all mental illness? Is this what's happening?
Yeah, that is
I don't
that's
know.
scary to think. Yeah, in this world, everyone with a mental illness is actually just seeing dead people. Maybe M. Night Shyamalan saw this movie and he's like, they're focusing on the wrong things. This premise has got legs.
Okay.
But they say
yeah.
the best, I think my single favorite part of the movie is Charles Grodin saying, you're a cookie baby.
Yeah,
you're a cookie
no,
baby.
you're a cookie boy. Who's a cookie boy? He's a cookie boy.
And Milo's like, hey, this sucks. I wish I was banging abroad right now. And Charles Grodin's like, it could be worse. At least we're with a good cookie boy like Thomas. And he just says it so completely seriously.
He does. And the dad is annoyed with his adorable fucking giggling baby who's having the time of his life, looking at 4 things that he can't see.
He never laughs at me.
Right. Do something funny.
Pay attention to me. Because I read my magazine.
Right. But the mom is way more patient, just thinks he's special, thinks he's adorable, because it is adorable. Anyway, you can already see the impatience for the weirdness in their kid. But you know what is interesting? They later, when the bus driver reappears, he makes it sound like they were supposed to be picked up years ago. Like they were. So how are they going to use this human as a baby to do, like, at what age was he the vessel?
Yeah, at 9 he was supposed to help them. But you could see it. You could see a Miramax movie from the 90s with a special little boy helping some ghosts.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that was M. Night Shyamalan's movie,
Right.
Wide Awake.
Right. It's just, all the lack of instruction, but then the eye rolling of the bus driver as if they should know what the hell they were supposed to be doing. Who? Oh, an angel. An angel was supposed to come down and explain all this. They never explained what happened to that explainer angel. I hope he's fired.
It with a movie like this,
You kind of just got to go.
and you're walking that fine line of you're trying not to, you want to have the like, don't worry about it kind of.
Yeah.
But that does kind of take a skilled storyteller and director to pull off, to make your audience not ask those questions.
Or
Maybe
else
like,
you have Dogma, where you have all this
Yep.
not exhibition, help me.
exposition.
Yeah, where it's just like, oh, see, here's how this is, because they'd all have questions. I like how there's multiple times in the movie, or maybe 2 key times, they just go to the next phase of life rather than making you. They'll show us. They don't have to tell us. I think this movie does that pretty well.
Yeah. The other way you can deal with like the rules of this afterlife is like Beetlejuice. Like you make it a comedy. You make the people telling you all the rules like, duh, the 500-page document you got from Juno. God.
Well, because they've been there forever. This shit's boring. But I've always been so just a big old gooey puddle over how fucking sweet they are to this little boy.
Yeah.
Just like, what kid, especially a kid that was lonely a lot like me, wouldn't want 4 doting parents constantly singing and telling you what the best boy you are for practicing your homework?
Yeah, helping you in school. Can always tell you the answers to things. Because we jump ahead now. He's 7 years old, and this is Eric Lloyd from the Santa Clauses.
God, is he good.
Little Thomas. There's a funny scene in class where he gives a speech to the class about the Battle of Gettysburg. Because, like, Charles Grodin Harrison is like, okay, now say this, now say this. He's like, Pickett's charge! The fetid smell of the dead hung in the air. And then they all go into the bathroom together, and they do a big doo-wop number. What is this song that keeps recurring through the movie?
Baby, oh, I don't mean maybe. Yeah, Walk Like a Man. It was a very popular song back in, the decade where they died.
Yeah. Walk like a man.
Walk like a man, fast as you can. You walk like a man. Why are you letting me keep going? I don't know.
It's charming.
It is. Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Lacey knows oldies.
All of them.
That is your sweet spot of music.
That and the 70s and 80s and 90s. Radio. Basically radio.
But then they go on other little adventures together. They go to bet on the ponies. They listen to opera and read Playboy.
But you're seeing the day in the life and the struggles and how did the ghosts kind of get their own alone time? They go sit on the roof. They're not always all together. They very much enjoy each other. Like there's a little bit of bickering, but I mean, it's wholesome as fuck. They are and the two ladies are best fucking friends.
Yeah. Cause they're on the roof and this is, Kyra Sedgwick and Alfre Woodard, and she's like, do you ever wonder where your kids are? But like, wouldn't this whole group's first order of business be, let's go find the kids, Thomas, make friends with my kids so that I can be around them?
Scoot his walker this way. Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, you're in the city you fucking died in. Mm-hmm. You took the same bus. You probably live really close to each other. Yeah. It's got to be just so weird and jolting, and you're all just, and you can't get away from him. And he's a baby for so long that you forget you could do anything else, maybe?
But at the point where they're going to the horse track.
True, you went to the fucking horse track. I didn't even think of that. Like, fucking go see your kids. I mean, maybe it'd be too hard. I don't know.
But
honestly,
I think you just need a line in the movie like, I've always said we can go find them. No, it's too painful. I need to hug them or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, it turns out going to the track was just a bridge too far, because the way that Thomas would get the man to actually sell him the bet would be, my dad's going to give me an awful beating, and just, but I'm glad at this day and time that they had these kinds of protections in place. I thought corporal punishment was still very accepted during this time, but that with the combination of his teacher finding him very odd, she sees him in the bathroom dancing to his end of the song. And he's just a precocious kid. He's a lot in school. Again, brings me back to the autism, the ADHD, the gifted kid stuff. The whole concept that gifted is just a different form of special ed, and it is, but it's not actually what anyone thinks it is. It's just where you put smart kids who are a problem. And I never thought about that, but then I look, it's absolutely that. Anyway, that kid is being gifted.
Yeah, we have a gifted kid who is a lot.
That kid is being gifted. Just they need a lot of ways to express themselves. Anyway, this kid's awesome. But he's gone to the track too many times, and he's already been under the dad's skin with he's different, and that his dad didn't want a different kid, wanted a normal kid.
Yeah, wanted a football kid.
Right. So I think once this doctor comes, he's like, yeah, we should kill him. I mean, put him in an institution.
But what a well-oiled machine the Child Welfare Services is, that they found the name of this kid and were able to track him down and everything. Like, how did they do that?
Movie magic. Trick photography.
Yeah.
Anyway, but do we have to talk about the very saddest scene? So just right after this, in my head, I was thinking medicine made them go away, like kind of like in Drop Dead Fred. I guess I have a lot of movies like these. So I thought he made them go away, and then maybe he stops taking medicine later and then they come back. That I couldn't remember. It really had been 20, 30 years since I've seen this movie. But it's even so much more touching than that. Like, for the good of him, they all four love him so much that they don't want him to be weird. They don't want him to get in trouble. They don't want to tear the family apart. They decide to go invisible.
The dad is literally like, it's not a mental institution. It's a facility. Right. Like, they're literally going to send the kid away
right.
for dancing in the
Chucky
bathroom.
style. Yeah.
And they tell him, sorry, we have to go. And little Eric Lloyd is just wailing and screaming, just don't go.
Please, it hurts my heart. I would skip over this part as a kid.
It really does a good job of capturing that feeling when you're a kid, you don't understand what's going on. The adults are telling you, all right, something's going to change. You're like, but I don't want it to change. No. And you can't do anything but just scream.
And it perfectly sets up the kind of adult he ends up being, because if he hadn't had a loving mom and dad, this instead would be, we cut smash to someone with a heroin addiction problem or something. But this kid's still fine. This kid still has a mom and a dad who really care about him. He's going to be walled off and afraid that people are going to leave him and not be good at forming close relationships. But like, he was still able to be steered to college and then to a career. But he is very flat.
Well, they've made him, I think,
hard.
We cross-dissolve. Now he grows up and he's Robert Downey Jr. He's cocaine Robert Downey Jr. with sunglasses on, and he's driving a cool car. So I think it is trying to say like, oh, he's become like a Gordon Gekko piece of shit. I think that is kind of a subtle thing they're trying to. He's kind of become an asshole. Like, not only is he pushing people away and not letting people get close to him, but his job is like, I go and I raid corporations and I fuck them over.
And only someone that it feels impossible to get close to somebody for risk of being left could do that.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
It's given him this kind of drive into becoming. Like, you say he's fine.
No, he's fine in the sense that he didn't end up in a gutter. Like, that kind of abandonment can really fuck you up for the rest of your life, and you can turn to drugs or alcohol. That didn't happen to him. Mm-hmm. Instead, he turned to career.
I assume he's doing lots of cocaine, though.
Fine, but they don't show that in the movie. And I'm saying it's because he still had a stable family. Like, it still ended up being maybe what was best for him. Because honestly, can you really picture the kind of human he would have been if he never formed any friendships, could never fuck a girl? Like, I mean, them being with him this whole time also wouldn't have been the right way.
It already fucked him up.
The intense abandonment this kid felt, I think they made the perfect leap to what kind of adult this ends up being.
Mm-hmm. Which it's not the goat's fault. It's God's fault for leaving them there.
Goats?
It's not the ghost's fault.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's God's fault.
They're all being fucking tortured.
It is a little convenient that they're like, hey, we'll just go invisible. Like, you can do that. And they just do it. They cut ahead. Now he's an adult. He's wearing sunglasses, but the ghosts are still around. He just doesn't see them anymore. They're just riding around with him all the time.
I love that they're so bored of riding in cars that they mostly just ride on top of the car. I love that part because, like, yeah, if you can't die, if I fall down and you're just going to drag me with you and I'll be fine, I'm sitting on the top of the car.
They're kind of like, so they're following him around. They're kind of like doing commentary. It's like sort of the Truman Show. They're like, and I really like the old girl. What do you think he's doing here? But it's a little too like, I don't think that these people talk to each other like they're with each other all the time. Like, I think there needs to be a little more shorthand and a lot less talking. A lot less talking,
a lot less enjoying each other, a lot more jaded. I mean, yeah, the true reality of what this would turn someone into is a little too dark to think about. Also, do they think they're going to die when he dies? Why not just get him killed? Why not just push him in front of a bus and be released?
Well, they can't interact with the physical world.
They could try.
Yeah.
They could talk to him. Go in front of the bus.
I was wondering about the physics of that. They can talk to him, but they can't touch physical objects. How, like, at the molecular level, at the atomic level.
How are you sitting on everything?
Yeah.
I know.
So he goes to this aircraft facility and he confronts Kurtwood Smith, aka the greatest actor of all time, and he tells him, like, I'm a banker and I'm here to do banking money stuff, and give me the time to liquidate. And so, yeah, he's a Gordon Gekko. He sucks. And he's also always on his car phone. And the The ghosts are like, he's always on that phone.
If they just stuck around for another 10, 15 years.
Yeah, they sound like parents today.
Seen.
Yeah.
No, I just mean that exact man. Always on his phone, probably.
Mm-hmm. And the ghosts can't touch each other, right?
Yeah, they touch each other.
Can they fuck?
They haven't. I think that would have made things very complicated.
It's been so like they
Dude, I don't know.
maybe we've skipped over the part where they're like all various forms of fucking each other.
Now Elisabeth Shue enters, and this is his girlfriend. She's not like the other girlfriends. They think this is the one for him, but he, anytime progress should be made in this relationship, like all of his others, he is cute and shifty and just doesn't want to make that next progression. But her parents are coming in town, and she's being very cool, very pick me, very like, I'm not like the other girls. But she's strong, and she makes it clear, no, I do want you to see my parents, or somewhere. This relationship needs to go somewhere soon.
You need to it's the most generic, like, you need to make a commitment to me, sort of. Like, do you like this subplot?
I mean, I didn't even think of this subplot. I just thought of like he has to be living a life during all of this, and the effects of him being left behind by those four people have to show themselves. And unless he's going to have a relationship with his parents, then this is the way to do it. You have to watch him be cagey and blocked off and rejecting people he really cares about. And also Julia has to have a purpose at the end. So
I just wish Elisabeth Shue, and I wish there was more to her other than like, I want you to take me seriously. I want a key to your apartment. I want you to meet my parents. There are rules to relationships and you're not following them, mister.
She's just a stand-in for people who are well-adjusted, who intend to be with people for a long-term period of time, take certain steps. He's still acting like he did in the beginning. He seems to care about her. He seems to be, there's parts of his body and mind that are acting right. And I think she's correctly pinpointing that there are things in him broken and that he needs to look at himself. I think it works. If it had nothing to do with what the trauma of them leaving him would have done to him, then no, it wouldn't work. Like he's just trying to get that new job and he's just got to win this big case. That would be boring and stupid. Because like, I already know he can achieve. I don't need to see his life getting interrupted in like this. I had a big break. This is the right thing to showcase, to give him his arc. He needs an arc.
I understand. My criticism is not very good, but I know what you're saying. You need something. You need some sort of area for him to grow. Just wish it were better. But
fine, but you're not saying how it would be better.
That she needs to be a real character.
She can't interject much more than she did. She's already in the way. They're on a time crunch, baby. All right. During this scene, are you going to show the next slide and it's going to be the bus, or do I need to talk about the bus here?
The bus does
There's
come into the...
There's not a slide with the bus?
It's on this.
Okay, it's in this dating scene date scene that we realize this whole time, number one, they weren't still supposed to be connected to him. They're supposed to have passed on. Number two, they should have been talked to by an angel who would have explained that they need to find a way to use him to fulfill their last thing that they needed to do on Earth, and then they can each pass on. And now it's been so late that he's just now locating them, and it's souls need to be born, and if they're not gone, then new souls can't. That all is very sloppy.
Yeah, there's like a finite amount of matter and souls.
But I do, and I like it from the very beginning, that electric sound that the bus makes naturally. It's just like in Dogma where like the hockey kids have that fly buzzing sound. So it's like anytime that menacing presence is coming, that
here it comes,
that click. Anyway, I like that
because the bus appears.
It just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And in this arboretum where they're having a date, Robert Downey and Elisabeth Shue can't see it, but the other ghosts who don't seem that nonplussed that this is happening, and now someone else, they now have a fifth person to talk to. They're just like, hey, what are you doing here? I know you. You're the bus driver.
Okay. Well, anyway, now they're in a pizzy and a tannic. Because now they're on a short time span. They don't really know what that means. He says, I'll come back soon. What the fuck does that mean? It's eternity, buddy. But they know now they need to make him see him. They need to make him see them again. And they explain that disappearing was easy, but getting back is harder. I don't know why.
Because they have, this is an unfinished business ghost fetch quest.
Right.
I tried to find, where does the idea of ghost and unfinished business come
Yeah.
from? That feels like a relatively like last 50 years of ghost stories sort of thing. And I couldn't find, like, one, Google sucks, so it's hard to Google this. But yeah, I don't think it's like a part of folklore or
It has to be like
religions or
just
anything.
a storytelling device, right? You know, just the idea of like, well, I don't know. If you want to tell a nice ghost story, you need there to be a reason that ghost is around and not like a tragic, morbid one. So you didn't figure out, like,
I couldn't
when's
find
the earliest
the answer
use
to
of
that.
this?
No, I mean, just, it's like this happens in movies like The Ring, The Sixth Sense.
But like in movies like The Ring, it fulfilling it or like if you don't do it in time or like it doesn't end up changing the future.
It can be good or bad. Well, in The Ring, it's like you help her spread her story and that keeps her from killing you. That's her unfinished business, is the world must know what was done to me.
Like, why are you so fucking special, bitch? I have a TV too.
So
All
yeah,
right.
the ghosts. Now we need Thomas. He's going to help us literally achieve our goal. So we got to make contact with him again, but they don't know how to do it. So that
They're just screaming at him, and it causes they decide, oh, that we need to sing our song, ooh oh, and they notice, okay, wait, he's singing the melody. Okay, this is it. This is the part we need. Then all of a sudden, Milo can just feel that he's about to see him, and he goes, hello, and the guy and Thomas wrecks his car. And so bad that he's in a hospital gown the next time we see him and in a hospital bed. And now he can see all of them.
and he's freaking out.
He thinks he might have gone, he might, you know.
I love
delusional.
Charles Grodin. He's like, how are you? If this happened to you,
Yeah,
what would it take to convince you that these are really ghosts and not hallucinations?
exactly
or-
what happened here. But I mean, probably not much, honestly. He was already, what's the word I'm looking for? He was already preconditioned to accepting this and these specific people too.
Yeah, but he also said like I thought those were hallucinations. So it's like
Yeah,
I've
he
done
was
work with a
told,
therapist to
right, but that was false. That wasn't true. So realizing that you had stuffed this down and didn't want this to be real, I think it'd be easy to believe it. If this had been the first time, that would take some more doing. I do not know. I think I'd instantly believe there was a ghost.
But you don't believe in ghosts, right?
I don't. But if one just walked up to me and you couldn't fucking see it, you're right. I don't know. I guess I'd think I was crazy, not
It's-
ghost.
I mean, it's like the original philosophical question, how do you know what's real? If it's like, I know that ghosts aren't real, I know hallucinations are a thing that can happen to the mind, so that
True.
seems far more likely. But I love second season of The Leftovers when Kevin is being haunted by the ghost of Pat by Ann Dowd, and he's just like, I got to keep this quiet. I can't let anybody see this. I feel like that's how I would react.
Well, yeah, because his dad had a history of the exact same thing, so he knew his fate. He knew from personal experience he'd be locked up.
The most important thing about me being haunted is I can't let anybody know about this.
Well, yeah, but you've been trained to keep down your issues.
So, yeah, he like runs around the hospital, but he sees this other loony bin patient who's like, oh, hello.
He runs to the psych ward because he's gonna go get himself checked out.
Yeah. And
Anyway, instantly this other lady's like, oh, I wish I could get visitors.
so he's like, you can see them? She's like, yeah, I can see them. And I can also see the nose ring men. He's like, what? I'm just kidding. I thought like, oh, this is cool. This will be a good little thing for the movie to have, but it goes away right away. It's
Right,
just
like,
a plot contrivance to like, you need to believe this
him.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. It could have helped us expand the world and explain, okay, this would have just been very funny. Now, you're moving on to the scene where he's in the boardroom and giving, in his very important job, and they just basically torture him into helping them fulfill their thing because he's being very resistant, because he's living a life. As an adult, this was so much more anxiety inducing to watch him, the shit he's doing. I mean, the thing they come up with to explain it, fine. But Jesus Christ, this was hard to watch.
Because he has to. Did we come up with a term for when somebody has a like capital J job in a movie. Like, I'm a man and I go to my job.
We just call it making sprockets.
Okay, we're making widgets, making sprockets.
Yeah.
He's making, although he's like, I make financial sprockets.
Right.
I'm going to show you all my papers about the business papers and the money. And yeah, he has to give this important presentation to the boardroom of important job people, but the ghosts are distracting him. They keep talking to him.
Well, because they can't seem to talk him into just do. Now they have something to do for the first time in 30 years, and they realize they're on a time crunch, and they're excited, and he won't fucking listen.
Why would I help you? He asks them.
Because that's interesting, because he is mad at them. He's hurt by them. They changed his entire life. He thought he was one thing for a long time. And yeah, I'd be fucking mad too.
Yeah, this is my father who hasn't talked to me in 2 decades comes back and needs my help. I'm supposed to just help you now?
Right.
Son of a bitch.
No, that is the right reaction. So they torture him into fucking doing it.
Like, I am so bad at paying attention to 2 things at once. If I go anywhere with my son and people talk to me, I'm like, my head's in the clouds. I'm like, oh, kid. Yeah, if someone were talking to me, a ghost were talking to me as I have to present, I'd just like...
yeah, no. I'd instantly have run out of there. As soon as the first body, so they can get into his body.
They can possess him.
They find out this. And I think this is pretty nice physical comedy from Robert Downey Jr., who he's gifted in this way. He's very funny.
First, is it Julia who possesses him first? And he's just like,
yeah.
There's 99% men in this room and only one woman. He's just talking like a woman and being a little effeminate.
Yes, right,
and
which
then,
was hilarious then.
And then he gets possessed by Milo.
And he kisses the old man on the head. Ew.
He gets possessed by Milo and he sees the one woman. He's like, hey, you're looking good.
I'm gonna fuck yous. Right.
And then I don't know who he gets possessed, but Downey starts doing like serious physical comedy, like just like fighting with himself and he's thrashing on the table and stuff.
He's getting them out of him. Right.
And I thought like, this is like, and this is only 10 minutes of the movie or so, but like this is Jim Carrey's like 90s comedy movie run. It all starts here, I think. Like, isn't this the premise of Me, Myself, and Irene?
I hate that movie. I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, Robert Downey is very good in this scene. Very impressive physical comedy and just ability to change the voices and the mannerisms.
And snap in and snap out of it, yes.
Without cuts. Like, it's not
right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I never think of stuff like that. But I just feel the fluidity of it and I'm impressed and you realize why it's good.
And like this could have been the whole movie, but they're trying to make it a more
serious thing.
Emotional movie.
It is emotional.
So, okay. I'll help you guys. Fine. First, we're going to go solve Milo's problems. Milo's problem is that he robbed some stamps from a boy and then gave them to a crook. And then he tried to rob the crook back so that he could return the stamps.
A rich man, not just a crook.
So let's go to the rich man's house and steal the stamps back. It's been 30 years, but I'm sure he still has them.
And they're right in the same place. He gets caught.
There's a funny like Robert Downey's like, we can't break in here. It's grand larceny. And Tom Sizemore's like, it's not grand larceny. It's breaking and entering. That's 90 days to 2 years max. But there's some antics inside the house.
He gets caught. He figures out how to get away.
Bob's your uncle. They steal the stamps. They get away.
Right.
Yep.
And that I do find that payoff maybe the best. It's the second best payoff of the 4 is when he delivers those stamps to that kid who clearly is a nice guy and doesn't have very much money. Those stamps are worth $100,000. I like that moment. He answers the door with his kid. He looks down and he clearly it's been on his mind because he goes, Barbara, the stamp. He's told his wife this story, and to that kid it was just important as to Milo that he didn't get them back. They were his grandpa's stamps.
I'm glad you liked it.
And then they do the dance.
And you really needed to give me a trigger warning about this, Lacey. That they have a musical fucking number in the middle of the movie.
It's quick.
It is. It gets blessedly interrupted by the ghost bus. But yeah, they all in unison do this doo-wop number. And
maybe. And for the first time, Milo is the lead singer, and he's good. It's adorable. They're all just like, fuck, right. The team got the team back together again. And now even, Thomas is buying in. Look at his goofy ass dancing with us. It's just a nice celebratory moment. Like, I need to do the thing. The thing felt good. Yay. But it is touching because Milo's probably the hardest one out of the four, or the one that puts up the biggest, like, hey, I'm tough. I keep doing that fucking voice. And he even...
You're part Italian. It's fine.
Okay, great. And the bus driver, though, pulls up, and Milo's... Milo was the one that was fighting it whenever they were going to disappear on him. And you think, okay, well, I'll bet in Milo's life that is his baggage. That might be what turned him into a petty thief or whatever. He also was left by his dad or whoever. And so he did not want to go invisible on Thomas. And so he has a hard time separating from him here, and even asks, what if we all just do it together and you come get us all
because the bus now returns and is like, okay, I'm here to collect one
right,
of you.
I need one soul. And the guy's like, no, I waited as long as I can, get on the bus. And it's just it's sweet. Every departure is touching.
But that's the way the movie's going to work for the rest of the time, is the mission, accomplish the mission, bus comes, collects one of them.
So the movie spends a lot of time being... There's funny moments and then heart, and there's heart, there's soul, there's heart, there's soul, there's funny, it's such a mixture. I exactly know why I liked this movie. Okay, now we're at the part where Harrison is going to fulfill his need, which is just simply, I need to sing in public. It's like just stand there and sing.
Yeah, in the corner, it's San Francisco.
Right,
there's a lot of people.
Right. But
hello, my baby.
They are. This is a little too pat for me, but. Needless to say, during all of the shenanigans, Thomas misses the dinner date with Elisabeth Shue's parents, and it's a whole thing. It's not that big of a deal, though, because she's cool. She invites him to a concert. He can't make it because he's doing this. What does he do? He shows up at that concert. It's B.B. King for some fucking reason.
Because they're stuck in traffic. And they're like, wait a minute. Charles Grodin, look, it's a concert. B.B. King, just get up there on stage. Okay, no problem.
And the way that they sneak into the back is funny because what's her name? Penny. Penny inhabits him, and he's very funny being her. It's a little bit inappropriate, I will say. There's a black scent.
Mm-hmm.
But she's empowering. She gets them back there. She slaps the man on the ass. I love that part. It's cringe, but all right. And now this is the anxiety inducing part of it all, is the entire time they spend on this huge packed concert stage. He brilliantly goes out there, because he can't get Harrison to go do it. Like, you motherfucker, we're here for this. You better inhabit my body. And so he doesn't want to get kicked off the stage immediately. He just says something he thinks no one's going to push back on, which is, now rise for the national anthem or whatever. And everyone stands up.
I like that.
I like it too.
So
it's like, who's going to push back on that?
Okay, yeah.
And even if you are sneaking in to do this.
The national anthem at a concert? Okay. Well, yes, exactly, yes.
Like, no, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. You're going to be like, yeah, the play ball. But, oh my God, he's standing there for so long. And then he gets in him, gets out of him. I hate it. The singing's pretty good. I guess that's Robert Downey's real voice. It seemed right.
He's a musician. He released like a jazz album, like all those fucking guys do.
Okay.
Who would release an album? Right.
Right on. But of course, it's the concert that the girlfriend's at. That hardly seems to matter, really.
He's on stage. The crowd is suddenly so won over by Thomas with the ghost of Harrison singing the national anthem in this deep baritone. Such a hit is this performance that mid-performance B.B. King then comes on stage and starts accompanying him on guitar. And you're like, this is badass, man.
I think B.B. King just knows this is not the scheduled programming, but he admires this fool for something and comes out and kind of like, because think about it, B.B. King could have made a scene and have cops come handle that, and then people are talking about that instead of B.B. King for the rest of the concert. But instead, he just plays them off.
And he was a great businessman, great mind for business.
I mean, and he and Robert Downey Jr. again, because the fucking bus shows up on the stage, which no one can see. All they can see is this man still standing to the left of the stage, not moving right of the stage. And it's all I'm doing is screaming at the screen, get off the stage. Get off the fucking stage.
The bus comes on the stage. B.B. King has now started his main set.
And he's moved into the mic area. But
Robert Downey's still on the stage, like looking behind him.
And that man, and if in real life, that man is probably having a mental break. But B.B. King is so chill about it and just kind of has this innate sense that like he's going to move on. And it was right. I mean, that's just so smart. Like, you had men come get him now after all that. Don't do that. Just wait. What's he going to do?
I did note B.B. King is opening with The Thrill
The
Is
thrill is
Gone.
gone. No, what's he going to close with? I know, Matt.
Okay.
You've got 3 questions.
I went and looked at early 90s B.B. King sets, and he did not open his shows with this song.
I know.
Well, good. I'm glad you know. Piece of shit.
As soon as he did it, I was like, there's no fucking way.
Charles Grodin, you're gone. I thought that you'd be here the whole movie. Thought this would be you and Robert Downey, but nope.
Nope. Okay, so throughout these antics, Thomas is getting arrested multiple times and brought in to talk to this one police officer who's very funny and charming but over it, and it's like, oh, you again, motherfucker. And he again.
I've realized I like a trope. I like in a movie like Jingle All the Way, where a guy keeps running into the same cop.
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
If as long as I like the cop here. And this guy keeps giving him a break. Can tell he's having a bad day, but the last straw seems to be when they somehow are in the same parking lot and he backs into him, and his wife and little girl are in the car, and he gets out and he's just like, what the fuck? But his wife comes out with the kid and says, she wants you. And then he starts singing the Hug-a-Bug song. So the thing with Penny is adoption records are sealed. We tried to go solve her shit earlier and she just got shut down. And so we moved on.
Well, they found the cat lady still lives there. So they asked her and she says, I know where the daughters are, but not the son.
Right. But the cat lady had very valuable information about the adoption of those daughters, that they're in Sacramento and the last name of the couple that adopted them. But so we get a little bit of that. We think we're going to go to Sacramento and then work our way back. But in the meantime, we get arrested again. And she runs into this cop again who's singing a song that she made up, the Hug-a-Bug song. And I love that part. That's probably my favorite one. And the cop is having a hard time believing, obviously, this is crazy. And I think Thomas makes up a wonderful, plausible thing as to how this happened. They were in the same accident, just different parts of it. Ended up in the same emergency room, and before she died, Penny said things that she wanted that mom to pass down to him, so that, I mean, it works. If you're an abandoned kid who lost his mom and you're talking about the same accident that killed your mom, I think you can buy a lot.
I guess. I didn't think of it like that.
Great. Well, anyway, he has some stuff that he could not have known. The lady with the cats, and then the cat lady he's got valuable information. This interaction can help him make his family unit complete again. And that's fulfilling.
He's been unable to find his sisters. He's tried everything except go back to his old house and interview the woman who lived next door.
Anyway, he was passed around from foster home to foster home. Like, he's done amazingly well for himself, considering I'm sure it was a fucking nightmare. This story always breaks my heart, that the girls stayed together and he was separated. He loses his mom and then he gets separated from his fucking siblings. It's just it makes me want to cry thinking about it. So let's not talk about it. So that gets resolved.
But it's like, this is what I said earlier. Like, this movie's like, it has so many things. It's so many characters it's trying to service, so many plots it's trying to resolve, that sometimes it's like, okay, yes, that plot's resolved now. That's good. We thought we'd have to see the two daughters. No, we don't. This is all we need. Now the bus comes and picks up Penny.
Well, as we see, the afterlife is not perfect. I think they're just taking what they can get at this point. Shut up. What do you want it to be, a 4-hour fucking movie?
Yes, I want 4 hours of this.
So now everything else is worked out. Why not go to the farm where Julia's would-be husband
Presumably her thing that's kept her on Earth is, I never told my man that I love him. So let's go find that man. They're going to go find the old predatory lover, and Thomas is going to give him a note in handwriting written by his old lover, Julia. She loves you. Now you don't have to wonder. Now you can, everybody's going to be happy, but he's dead. He died 7 years ago. Meanwhile, the ghost bus came to get him, and they're like, no, we're not ready. And so they run away from him. And I like the idea of trying to outrun the ghost bus. And then when they get to their destination, it's just there. And he's like, what? You thought you'd get away with it? And then Julie realizes, oh, that wasn't my mission. My mission was to help you, Thomas, because the universe really wants you to make a serious commitment to a monogamous heterosexual relationship. And then the bus driver, Dave Hamer, is like, oh, I like that. It's tidy.
Yeah.
Or like has unity, something that the
Unity.
screenwriter must have said like, oh, okay, yes, we can resolve all of this right here. And Julia gets taken away to heaven, and the bus driver says to Thomas, and I'll be back for you in 50 or 60 years.
And I'm doing the math and I'm thinking, that's old.
But he's like, yeah, so now he knows he's invincible. He can do it. I can jump out of planes. I can be Iron Man.
And you became an Iron Man.
And he goes back to Elisabeth Shue and he's like, hey, I love you. She's like, oh, great. I love you too. And kiss, little kiss.
Here's a bunch of keys.
And here are my keys. Let's go meet a priest and have
I'm glad they don't
church
get married.
approved sex.
Okay.
Heaven gets 4 angels like It's a Wonderful Life represented by stars in the sky.